What we're going to do now is we're going to have a quick look at this here Powerscreen Crusher 400X. Come on boys, let's go and have a look up here. Bit special it is.
Powerscreen Crusher, any machine, pre-type checks every day. If you don't do pre-type checks in the morning, in my case, it's sand, like it would be anywhere else. So to this one, quite simple 12 ladders. Yeah, always 3 points of contact always. Take a clip off this side. Which I'll come back down. There's a clip on this side as well. Checking the oil and water on this machine. Pull this side. Lift up bonnet.
Right, let me climb up. I can't do this filming. Right, here we go. Right, I've made it up the top of the ladder. Just make sure that the gate's there. You push against it, it's not going to let you fall out. Thank fuck. Right.
Welcome to a scan your engine in a crusher. Again, straightforward. Dipstick down this side, check your oil. Filler cap next to it as well. Check your water on this machine. Again, it's very similar to the screener. Just undo that. There's your filler cap there. Again, no expansion tank on these, straight to rad.
Make sure whatever you do,
do not try and check the water after you've started the machine and switched off. It could be very hot, and put it this way, you probably have no skin left on your hands by the time you're done. Put it that way.
Now it's a 5-cylinder scan your engine. I've never seen one of these until I saw this particular machine. And I didn't even know that Scania made a 5-cylinder engine. That's some lump that is. What do you reckon? 230, 250 horsepower?
Yeah, about that.
That'll do.
And as well, whilst you're up it, now I've explained this on my own TikTok before. Now, people just think greasing is grease. Use any grease. That's where you're wrong. Normal EP2 grease does not cut the mustard for these jaw bearings behind here. Now these jaw bearings, when they fail, you are talking 50-60 grand. And you're going to lose maybe, if you look at 2-3 weeks worth of work. So to grease these, there are 2 points on each side. So there's one for the top of the bearing, which obviously you can't see because it's protected. You have one at the top and one at the bottom. So, but for these nipples especially, you have to use what they call a high temperature 460 grease, which is made to deal with high temperature. Because what you have to remember is, these machines here, these jaw bearings, or jaw box should we say, they're spinning all day long every day. And when you've got rock or any material in there, you're very hot. So you have to have the right grease for the job. Otherwise, like I say, you'll get a couple of 100 hours out your bearings and you've got a nice 50-60 gram build with it. So in my eyes, I recommend to anyone who runs crusher screeners, always use the high temperature grease for these.
Nice. So right here behind the engine, it's a hydraulic tank. Fucking great tank on it. Look at that, look. And that is the gauge. And it's nice because you've got a float. Look at the float, look. Tells you exactly where it should be. That's where it should be when it's cold, because I imagine the oil gets pretty hot on here.
Yep, and obviously when the hydraulic gets hot, it expands. So that is bang on. But check it every morning as well, because you never know through the day, you might have a leak somewhere. So obviously, first point of call, if you think you've got a leak, is always check your hydraulic oil every morning.
Obviously over this side here, you've got hydraulic oil cooler. So this is one of them things, when you're doing your checks, just cast your eye over it. Just have a look at that matrix, see if it's too much dust, too much dirt, too much debris in it, because you've got a fan behind it that's going to be pulling air through, trying to cool the hydraulic oil. So just keep an eye on that, just to make sure that it don't get too blocked. Make sure you keep your oil cool. And here behind me, directly behind me, is a fucking great big diesel tank. Now, if you're wondering how you check the diesel on one of these, so you fill her up. Look. See these sight bars? This is where you check your fuel level. Now, this would have been previously easier, wouldn't it, Ben, when we were running red diesel? But obviously, we're on white diesel now, so it's not so easy to see. But this is where you check your diesel level. It's quite a big tank on it. Let's get down from here and we'll see the next bit. Right.
Next job is obviously again greasing is key. So every morning, got, again, block of 4 here. 2 pipes to go up to the top, to the head drum, 2 pipes going down to the bottom drum as well. So I recommend 11-12 hours a day. People will say put 5 pumps in, but for me, always give it, you know, between 10 to 15 pumps, just to be safe, because the last thing you want to do is a bearing to go and you lose your downtime. Again, with the magnet, there's a grease point, obviously there's a magnet on each side, there's a bearing on each side for the magnet. The magnet doesn't do as much as the belt, obviously, for what we do in here, but a couple of pumps every day keeps the doctor away, shall we say.
Oh yeah.
And obviously, cast your eye over those things as well, obviously for your main conveyor side. It's always handy. I obviously won't start the machine. Just start the machine, just run the belt and cast your eye when that belt's running around to make sure there's no tears, no rips, or nothing that shouldn't be in this belt.
So with the belt running, you'll be able to look up at that head drum up there, and you'll be able to see how it's tracking.
Yeah, you'll be able to see if there's any holes in the belt or any tears anywhere. Just give it a minute or two. So you need to do a full couple of circuits so you cast your eye over it. Once you're happy with that, it's a case of then, obviously, main thing is before you do any of that, let the machine warm up for 10-15 minutes. Once it's warmed up, that's it, run the belt. Once you're happy with that, start crushing away. Obviously, what I would do before with these power screens, as soon as these have a stop-start button, so once you press the green button, it starts the belt, the jaw, and the feeder. But what I would do is, like what my lads do as well, is once you're around the belt, don't just walk off to your machine and let it do it itself. Stand by the machine, listen to when the jaw starts. If you hear any knocking, any banging, any cracking, because that is also a sign that you've got a jaw bearing potentially on the way out. So for an extra couple of minutes, extra couple of seconds, just wait for the machine, just fire up, so everything's running from your belt to your jaw box to your feeder to make sure there's no noises or any leaks, hydraulic or wise, because we don't want no contamination on any job you do.
Well, we'll climb up on the jaw and we'll have a look at the jaw, and we'll also explain why you let things spin up and you keep listening and you stay close by when you see what's up in the jaw box. We're up here in the jaw box. There's the there's feeder, big shaker plate. You've got pre-screen on this as well, these finger bars. If you're running a dirty belt and you're taking the fines off first pre-crush, but all of this material, because it's being screened at the end of the run all the way up there, everything's going through the jaw, or it's all being fed onto the main belt. But this is why you also let things spin up and you keep listening. These big jaws, you're probably looking at, I mean, me and Ben were talking about it, 9 grand if you wanted to rebuild this jaw box. 9 grand, potentially more, especially if you've got to do any refurb work, any welding. Yeah, it's going to set you back a pretty penny. But these get hot, and if they move, something's broken, something shears, you want to be able to hear it before it falls out or does some serious damage. It's a hell of a thing, this, isn't it? A hell of a thing. This is the material that's going to be going through it. This nice rock up here. There's a lot of stone there. Goes all the way out over there. Right, last little bit. So that was a little walk and talk about the Powerscreen 400X crusher. Could you do it? Could you sit on a nice big digger, load on a crusher all day? Hell of a job. Hell of a job. Nice easy little number. Going to be putting the material through that big screen over there. Going to be reducing different kinds of material off each belt.
King of screen, King of screen.
That is something, isn't it? Warrior.
Never ever be a Warrior 1200 triple shaft machine. Never be one. I tell you what, the manufacturer, right? All manufacturers, prove me wrong, right? You send me a machine that will outperform this machine, and I will worship the ground it walks on. In my view, you will never ever be 1200 triple shaft machine.
How's about that, boys? 2100 triple shaft, as endorsed by Ben Dann from Dann Environmental Services. Contract crushing and screening. If you want some crushing and screening, get in touch.